You're listening to Alaska Real Estate Podcast, courtesy of the Alaska Association of Realtors. I'm Chris Story, your host for great adventures in real estate. Today you'll meet Dave Mitchell. Dave's one of our speakers, and you'll meet him in Girdwood in person at Convention 2012. Plus book notes brought to you by Alaska USA Mortgage Company and Blog Talk brought to you by Alaska USA Title Agency. If it happens to real estate, it matters to you. Two fonts walked into a bar. The bartender said, "Hey, get out. We don't want your type in here." Too stupid not to share. Alaska Real Estate's made possible in part thanks to the support of Alaska Housing Finance Corporation, your partner in Alaska Real Estate. From low-interest mortgages, first-time home buyer programs, and education through the Home Choice class, Alaska Housing's goal is to provide safe, affordable, and efficient housing for all Alaskans. Online at ahfc.us. Welcome, please, Dave Mitchell.
I will warn you, we're having hay delivered, so my ample pack of dogs may occasionally bark, but I think they're far enough away that you won't pick it up.
Well, wait a minute. Tell me about that, because, you know, we're used to dogs. Do you have sled dogs, or what's the deal?
We have two yellow labs, Martini and Rossi, and a smooth-coated collie, and a black lab wolfhound mix. So wow. 4 big dogs. And
what's the hay being delivered for? Do you have horses as well?
Yeah, we have 4 horses as well.
Wow, you're running a regular farm there.
We've got a menagerie.
Where exactly in Colorado are you?
We live about an hour west of Denver, up in the mountains at about 8,700 feet. You guys can go on up to this dirt road up to the barn. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
No worries. This is life. So you're at almost 9,000 feet. You get winter. You know winter.
Yeah, it's having grown up in Illinois, these winters don't seem that difficult to me, but there is some snow. Usually, we didn't have much this year.
Yeah. So, in other words, when you get to Alaska to our convention, you don't want to hear a bunch of whining from us.
Not unless I start it.
Oh, okay. Well, bring Martini and Rossi, and we'll have some real wine.
There you go.
Well, what's the deal? I mean, tell me about how do you go from being a 17-year-old on-air broadcaster to where you are now with your leadership business?
Well, let's see. Between there, I worked in human resources development for both Marshall Fields and for the Buena Vista Hospitality Group, which managed luxury resorts for Disney all around the country. And so when I started my company in 1995, I had already worked in human resources development for 11 years.
Let's go back to the 17-year-old broadcaster. How do you get that job?
Well, it's all who you know. My mom actually worked at the radio station, so she got me a weekend part-time DJ position, and then I also worked at the college campus radio station, eventually becoming the station manager, and that led to a television gig for CBS, and then a year after that, I realized I didn't like it.
Oh, really? Now, talk about CBS. What'd you do there?
I was a television reporter and producer of the evening news for a small affiliate in Terre Haute, Indiana. Yeah, when the earth needs an enema, that's typically where they'll put it. All apologies to Terre Haute, but if even the people that live there know that to be true. So, my motto today, if you go on our website, it's to positively affect the life of each person that we come in contact with, and broadcasting wasn't really consistent with that life mission. I mean, it felt it was more just a lot of negativity. So I felt like I needed to do something that had a more positive impact on people, and so I went into human resources development, eventually got my master's degree from the University of Illinois in global human resources development, and I actually work as an adjunct professor at that university as well as running my own company.
What do you think what's the biggest mistake you see people make in managing human resources?
Well, I mean, if you want to talk specifically about human resources professionals, so many of them are more interested in procedural and legal matters and less real partners in making the company successful. I mean, anybody knows that your true differentiating factor in business is the quality of the people that you have, and yet most human resources executives really aren't at the table with C-level executives. They're really not strategic partners, which I find disappointing. In terms of just in general, I don't think enough time is put into understanding how to create an environment that's highly motivational for people, really including all the elements that drive performance, appreciation, providing people with independence, providing them with flexibility, and allowing them to be creative, and setting up structures that allow them to feel secure, but also allow them to experiment. So, I wish we put more emphasis on motivational theory and how to really create organizations that allow people to thrive.
How will that play into your keynote presentation here in Alaska and then the other courses that you're going to be teaching us at our convention in Girdwood?
Two things we're going to focus on, which I think is pretty near and dear to realtors right now, is, first of all, how do I broaden my market share as much as possible? I know Alaska may be a little bit of an outlier compared to the rest of the nation, but I certainly think every realtor, every broker, they want to know, how do I maximize my market? How do I attract the greatest market share? So we're going to talk about how we do that, how we brand ourselves as individuals and our businesses in a manner that really resonates with the largest population possible. And then the other part of this is that we're going to talk about is some resiliency, which is, how do I maintain life balance and peak performance and, quite frankly, a feeling of contentment when I'm dealing with a challenging and perhaps even difficult period of time? Nationally, this has clearly been a very problematic period economically for realtors. And even if things come back strong, it's going to be challenging in another way. So, how do we maintain our performance, keep performing at high levels without getting a little out of balance? I'm a firm believer that our responsibilities should be balanced. We need to be good parents, we need to be good spouses, we need to be good siblings, as well as being good business professionals. If any one of those gets out of whack, it's like a domino effect. The others will eventually start to tumble too.
What can people expect in one of your classes? I mean, you obviously are entertaining, you're funny, but describe a typical Dave Mitchell class.
Sure. Our motto is laugh and learn, and honestly, Chris, I'm a heck of a lot more compelling and charming in front of a room than I am on a conference call or a podcast, so I apologize for appearing to be a stick in the eye in this dynamic, but I can assure you we're going to have lots of fun. We're going to share stories. We're going to connect the content, which is applied cognitive psychology, to our everyday life experiences, and kind of provide a pathway to how to better understand the way we think and how others think and how we can connect more effectively. Bottom line is, research upon research upon research study indicates that when you have good rapport with another individual, your confidence improves, your skill set is better executed on, and the likelihood of a successful outcome is much higher. And the same is true in reverse when we are clunky with our rapport at the beginning. Then we start to spray and pray. We just get really awkward with our skill set, and we rarely have a successful outcome, whether that's selling, whether that's providing service, whether that's leading, whether that's just in our personal relationships. So what we'll experience in the classroom is, how do I take a natural market share, which is roughly 25% of the population, and expand that to something closer to 75 to 80%. If we could effectively build rapport with 80% of the population, imagine the impact that would have on our success as a leader, as a sales professional, as a service provider, and as essentially a husband or parent.
Well, have you been to Alaska before?
I have not. This will be my first time, and it will mark the last state of the United States that I have not traveled to.
All 57. Good for you. Okay, let me ask you this. When you think of Alaska, what's the first thing or image that goes into your mind?
For some reason, I imagine that these breathtaking vistas, these big, glaciers and mountain scenes that I guess is the good work of your local Chamber of Commerce is to sell that.
That's right. It's working.
Yeah, that's what we keep seeing. So I'm assuming that everybody lives on the base of this majestic mountainside.
All right, you're not going to be disappointed then, especially because you're going to be in Girdwood, and it's exactly what you're going to find. Let me ask you this final question, Dave, in closing. If I were to randomly pick up your iPod off of the street, you've dropped it, I put the earbuds in, and I hit play, what am I listening to?
Well, you're going to hear a lot of stuff you've never heard before because I'm a music freak. So there'll be blues, there'll be jazz, there'll be alternative rock, there'll be alternative country. There'll be a little bit of everything, including all, Motown and all the things that you might expect someone of my advanced years to listen to. But you're also going to hear a lot of stuff that even 22-year-old kids would go, dude, seriously, that's cool.
Excellent. Dave Mitchell, cannot wait to meet you in Alaska at our convention in Girdwood.
All right. Likewise, Chris. Thanks for calling.
For all the details and registration information, go to AlaskaRealtors.com. Can't wait to see you in Girdwood. Time for book notes, and that's brought to you by Alaska USA Mortgage Company, a name you know and people you trust. Mortgage experts are all over Alaska with Alaska USA waiting to help you and your clients. You can check on mortgage rates online, and your clients can even apply online at AlaskaUSAMortgage.com. Realtor friend of mine gave me a book a few years ago called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And it's the kind of book you can pretty much read in a weekend, or you can, or one sitting, basically. But I have this feeling you'll come back to it again and again, and that's what I do. And it struck me the other day that this section on buying and selling in the book really speaks to win-win negotiations, maybe better than anything else I've read. So I thought I would share it with you. On buying and selling, he answered and said, "To you the earth yields her fruit, and you shall not want if you but know how to fill your hands. It is in exchanging the gifts of the earth that you shall find abundance and be satisfied. Yet unless the exchange be in love and kindly justice, it will lead some to greed and others to hunger. When in the marketplace you toilers of the sea and fields and vineyards meet the weavers, the potters, and the gatherers of spices, invoke then the master spirit of the earth to come into your midst and sanctify the scales and the reckoning that weighs value against value. Suffer not the barren-handed to take part in your transactions, who would sell their words for your labor. To such men you should say, come with us to the field, or go with our brothers to the sea, and cast your net, for the land and the sea shall be bountiful to you, even as to us." Khalil Gibran. Blog Talk, sponsored by Alaska USA Title Agency. When you work with AK USA Title, you immediately understand a couple of things. Number one, customer care is extremely important. And two, communication, that's pretty much job one. You can find them online at AlaskaUSATitle.com. So what are you blogging about these days? Do you remember what Shannon King taught us about how she uses social media? She once a week schedules some time to write out a series of what will become blog posts to be released that week, whether, starting on her blog and then moving over to Facebook and Twitter. Shannon says, we've all got time for social if we schedule it. The NAR hands you and I gold nuggets constantly online for cool blog posts, like this news about the pending home sale index from Lawrence Yun. Check this out. NAR chief economist said longer-term comparisons are more relevant. The housing market is clearly superior this year compared with the past 4 years. The latest increase in home contract signings marks 13 consecutive months of year-over-year gains. Well, by itself, that's boring as hell. But you put your own spin on it, and you've got a blog post or a Facebook post, and that's going to get attention and help promote your business and share good information. What if you said, you look up something that happened about 13 months ago, and then you write a short piece. Do you remember when X occurred? Well, the pending home sale index has been rising since then. You don't hear that on the nightly news, do you? I don't know. You know where I'm going with this. Take advantage of the work that NAR gives you, make it your own, and spread the word. That's it for this edition of Alaska Real Estate. Sandy Ehrenman is your executive producer. For all of us at Alaska Real Estate Podcast, I'm Chris Story, wishing you health, wealth, and prosperity.